to another episode of Let's Talk About It. You got Jazz here with me, and I'm Sinette, and we're out here talking about mental health this month. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month, and we thought, what better time to just really tap in and do a mind check of sorts to see how everyone's doing, talk about some coping mechanisms and things like that. So, Jazz, you want to say hi to the people?
Hello, the people. It's always a pleasure. I'm excited to get into this relevant and timely topic.
Awesome.
Yeah. But before we do that, I know we'd be opening with games and stuff.
Yes, there is a game. We
Oh.
have a game. Well, not really a game. I thought it would be fun just to kind of like see where your head was at. So, have you ever heard of like, you hear people say like, "Oh, I'm going to my happy place," or "I need to
Mhm.
go to my happy place." So, I want to get in your business. I
Okay.
want to know what's got to be in your happy place. Like, you're building your most perfect happy place. Where is it? What's going in it? Are there people? No people? What's happening?
Mm, that's great. If I get to build my own happy place from scratch, it's gonna be a lot, actually, like the life I'm in right now, but I'm a minus some things. I'm a minus the ambient noise that don't vibe with me, like the arguing of random people passing by in the street, trains at inappropriate hours. I'm probably gonna get rid of, so this is what's not in my happy place. Bugs ain't in my happy place. None of these New York City creatures, the wild creatures, is in my happy place. The birds could stay, the pigeons could stay.
Oh,
No, but
you're kind.
I don't mind them. They're beautiful in their own naturey way. It's
Mhm.
just, I think that my happy place would just involve being able to love people well and boldly and be loved boldly and well in return and not be stressed out. So just like a peaceful day in my regular life. I don't know. But then again, that's off the fly. Probably if I developed my happy place further, it would be like very specific. But off the fly, I just don't want to be stressed. So a peaceful day is a happy
Is a
place
happy.
day.
That's nice. I mean, at least that way you could actually have your ideal happy place in real life. Like
Mm.
there's some days where you just like, oh,
This is my happy place.
this was a peaceful day. It was
Mm.
there was nothing going on that got me riled up. So you can actually experience your ideal happy place. So I guess that's cool.
Okay, so that's one iteration of my happy place. What's
Yeah.
your happy place look like?
Girl,
I know
I
it's
was
my
I was
detail.
I was like, what? I got whole things. Oh, I was like, what's happening right now? I was like, so there's things like right now that I do to try to create a happy place sometimes. Um, so if we're talking about where, funny enough, it's nowhere near the city. Like
Okay,
it,
fair.
yeah, it's
You
crowded
don't
in
like the city in real life, so
yeah, it's
not gonna
crowded
be
in the
anywhere
city.
near your happy place. Okay.
But I would say like maybe like a lake or a beach, like water close by. I
Hmm.
don't have to actually be
Get
exposed
in
to
it.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's it's close by. I can see it, you know?
Mhm.
It's I guess like it's not hot, but it's not cold. It's like
Okay.
that perfect 70 degrees with a breeze.
Okay.
Yeah, the sun is shining, but it's not cooking nothing.
Got it.
Yeah. That's nice. It's quiet, like real quiet.
Hmm.
And like you, in my happy place, there's no animals.
I was about
Say
to say nature noises. No
no,
nature noises. Just the
no.
sound of the water
The
lapping
water and the
into the
wind. That's
shore.
all I need.
Okay.
There's no creatures, because then I can't be there. I'm no longer happy in the happy place if there's creatures.
There ain't no fish in the sea, in the lake.
Nope. I might actually get in it if there's if there's
Okay.
nothing if there's nothing else in it. I might actually get in it.
Okay.
Um, Definitely music though.
Hmm.
Definitely music. All kinds of music. I love music. So definitely music playing. Three very specific movies: The Five Heartbeats,
Mm,
Temptations, and The Wiz.
okay, so we
No
out.
matter what's going on, I put those movies on, I'm good to go. I'm gonna be all
Okay.
right. So those three movies have to exist in music and books. Yes, books and like paper and stuff to write and stuff, and
Mhm.
just simple and good
Yeah,
food.
yeah, yeah,
Lots
yeah.
of good food.
That's nice. Okay, so I think that this happy place, this is like a retreat from normal everyday so that you can recuperate and like zen out essentially.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Completely disconnect.
Yeah.
Completely
Okay.
disconnect.
Yeah, I would
And then
develop
if we're
mine
talking
out more.
about specific people, like I would like my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, we good right there. Right there. Well, for me, because when I say family, I have friends that are family,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
have family. Those people
Yeah.
can be in my happy place island cabin
Yeah.
scenario. Um, and then I'm good. Like I don't need anything else.
I'll
Else.
see y'all the moment I leave my happy place,
Yeah.
my recuperative happy place.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not that happy moments don't happen outside the happy place, but sometimes life could feel like a lot. And so
Mhm.
you could create a space that you just get to go to and just recover from the stressors. That's nice. That'd be cool. I dig that. I dig your happy place. Creatureless waters, nice weather, cool breezes, sunny days,
Mhm.
good movies, good books, and things to write with.
And don't forget the food.
Oh, I sure did forget the food.
I'm not staying anywhere that there's not good
I would have remembered the food after spending a few hours at your happy place. I'd be like, wait a minute. I'm
food.
hungry. I'm a little hungry. Y'all hungry?
Yes.
Okay, I dig that. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's my happy place.
Mm,
Like I said, I incorporate it in spaces in real life, but if I
yeah,
could bottle it all up together, that's what it will look like for me.
yeah. I dig it. That was
So I
really
was reading someplace that it's important to have like a happy place because like the mental exercise of like just checking out and kind of going to your happy place can sometimes like relieve you from the stress that's going happening in that
hmm.
moment and stuff like that. Um, so I thought it would be fun to talk about our happy place when we opened up
Yeah,
this conversation on mental health.
nice.
So yeah, let's get into it, right? Mind check of sorts. How are you feeling?
Today I feel fine. I feel capable, had an early start. Things were so far so good. I could see the growth already and how God is emotionally and regularly maturing me. So it feels exciting. Today is one of those good days where it's like off to a good start. And I'm like, ah, lots of potential for good stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
How about you?
Me, I'm feeling like I'm headed to take a trip to my happy place.
Okay.
It's been nonstop
Mm,
for a while now, and so I get to a point of like mental exhaustion sometimes where it's just like my mind is like we're tired of
yeah.
revving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll be taking a break soon and very soon to just
Hey.
rest up and recalibrate. But
Nice.
I'm grateful that I'm able to go and get the things done and not feel overwhelmed. So even though I feel um busy, for lack of a better word, I don't feel overwhelmed. Like I don't have those feelings of like I just can't get this done.
Yeah.
Um, that's a benefit for me because there's been times where I'm like it's just too much.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, looking forward to it. So thank you for the mind check. I kind of like how it sounds. Mind check one two one
One,
two.
two, one, two.
So talking about mental health. When you talk about mental health, like what's on your mind? What are you thinking about? What does it encompass to you?
To me, it's about sustainably being able to go through life without falling to pieces, being able to endure
Mhm.
and have peace. Um, yeah, endure and have peace because the world is a very chaotic place
Mhm.
and we cannot depend on external circumstances to have, you know, um, ideal mental and emotional stability. Like it can't just be about what's happening on the outside because we don't have control over everything on the outside. So there has to be a way for us to be able to have balanced thinking and a balanced life experience without having to rely on the external. So for me, mental health is about being able to have a peaceful inside space, even if I'm stressed, that the stress doesn't take me out of my peace. And I think that's one of the promises of God, peace that
That's
outdoes our understanding. Yeah. And so I remind myself of that even when I feel stressed. I'm like, all right, the promise is peace. I don't feel peaceful right now, but the promise is peace. So how do I reestablish the peace that I have a right to on
mhm.
the inside?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it because it takes the topic down to a day-to-day level. So like sometimes when you hear of like these like awareness months, it makes it so grand and it's like diagnosed mental issues that definitely need a light shined on them and need to be talked about. But we forget that just because you don't have a diagnosed issue doesn't mean you're mentally healthy.
Mm.
um, and that some of that is coming from your day to day and how you just operate and move and live in your space, and how you care, yeah,
Mhm.
care for your mind or tend to your mind,
Yeah.
and make it so that you're able to do that. So I like that yours kind of zeroed in on like the focus of what's important for you to feel like your day is going well, which is peace, and that's something you could go for at all times. So what's some ways, if we had to like talk to someone who's dealing with um the day-to-day mental health, what are some ways that you use to just keep yourself mentally healthy?
Mm. I journal. And sometimes I'm journaling just to be like, this is what happened today and what I thought about it. Or a lot of times I'm journaling, I'm talking to God in my writing, but it's instead of verbally, I'm like writing out my thoughts because sometimes I need a lot of time to process in between a thought. I'm like, how do I feel about this actually? And so writing to God is sometimes easier for me because I get to pause in between my thoughts and really say it exactly how I mean it, as opposed to speaking and there's so much distance in between each word. I'm like, let me just take time to think about it and then write it out. And that's what I want to say. But so prayer, journaling, taking deep breaths, and then trying to show people grace and myself grace, because a lot of my frustration comes from my imperfections when I fail or I don't perform at a standard that I wish I did, or when other people fail or don't perform at a standard that I wish they did. That causes me stress. But at the end of the day, we're imperfect people in an imperfect world. I'm not going to get perfection from imperfect people, and people are not going to get perfection from me. Even if I'm winning all day today, I guarantee you, I'll give you something
The
that
time
you
is
need to show
coming.
me grace for tomorrow or a little later today. Just give me some time. So thinking about how gracious God is with me, thinking about how gracious people have been with me,
Mhm.
then I get to take it down a notch when I'm emotionally frustrated.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like even working with kids and grown-ups too. I think about when I was small, I looked at our teachers and I was like, these grown-ups who understand life, who are like out here living. And then when I became an adult, I was like, I'm
I
the
don't
age
know
my
nothing.
teachers was. Right. I was like, they were fronting hard. Like, this is not it. This is not what I thought I was observing. Like, I was
They
like, wow,
made it look
we really
easy.
don't be knowing stuff. And we just still got to get through life. And so when I'm dealing with children, I'm like, y'all only been here, what, 6 years? That's not enough time. I get it. You don't know. I still don't know. And I've been here more years than that. But like, so showing grace makes a difference to
That's
myself and others. Yeah.
While you were talking just now, something struck me. I don't know if you saw me looking it up because I was like trying to prepare for like our conversation, and I wanted to find scriptures
Mm,
about mental health, and so perfectionism
mm,
came up as a mental health concern, and I was like,
mm.
wow, I never even thought of perfection perfectionism
Yeah,
as a mental health issue.
very interesting.
And so when you said, you were talking about basically giving yourself grace to not be perfect and making sure you give that same grace to other people to not be perfect, it made me think about that. And I just wanted to mention some scripture
Mm,
to help combat perfectionism. I'm struggling through it, but it's at Galatians 1:10. Am I trying to win the approval of men or of God? And or am I trying to please men? If I were still trying to please men, I would not be a servant of Christ. So that could really help when you're like beating up on yourself about what
mm,
standard you thought you were supposed to meet. And
mm,
then it was Psalm 18:32. It is God whose arms me with strength and makes my way perfect. It'd be great if I could see. And then 1 John 1:9 said, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. So I just wanted to arm you with those three, and anybody else out there that might be battling perfectionism, because it was very interesting to me. I was like, I never even considered that a mental health
yeah.
concern. So yeah, didn't want to miss the moment to say that. But yeah,
Mm,
journaling is also a really good way to get it out and just like reset yourself. So
yeah.
yeah, I say
Besides retreating to your happy place and maybe journaling as well, like what do you get into when you want to
for
reestablish?
me, it's about finding a way to really quiet my mind or just let my mind be still.
Mm,
So I like to tap into a different side of my mind. I'm very strategic and logical all the time. So when I start to feel like the systems are overheating, I like to do something creative.
mm,
So whatever I can find, if it's sketch something, draw something, write a story,
mm,
whatever I can do to just like tap into the creative side of my mind to give that other side some rest, I'll do
mm.
that. And that usually, I don't know why, but it kind of brings me some balance.
Yeah, that's
So,
pretty cool.
yeah, that, and then like I said, music. I'm a big music lover, so
Mm,
I'll just put on music,
yeah.
whatever music I need for whatever mood I'm trying to go for. Um, or the mundane, like something that doesn't require me to think at all, something I can do
Mhm.
on autopilot. I'll do that just so my brain can rest. So those are
Yeah,
usually my go-tos to kind of cope. But there's also things like talking to my friends, talking
amen.
you up.
Hmm.
Sometimes I don't need to just sit alone with my thoughts because that's the problem. So I'll get somebody on the phone. You've already touched prayer because get God on the phone first. But sometimes you just need to talk to someone, like
Hmm.
talk to a confident, talk to a therapist or accountability partner or whatever your situation is or your setup is. Find somebody to talk to because sometimes you just gotta talk it out.
Mm, yeah,
That kind of leads me to my next question.
dime.
If we're talking about like confidants, therapists, things like that, how do you pick a good one?
Mm,
Because I'm realizing I've been blessed. I have people I can talk to, but there's some people that don't.
mhm,
And how do we arm them with the ability to find someone that they can confide in, someone that can go through life with them? I would say first step, join a local church, uh,
mm.
get connected, but
Yeah, that could be
still got
great.
to know what characteristics to look for.
Right. Um, I think that sometimes you don't know until you get the therapist. And it's
Mhm.
okay to have one therapy session with somebody and decide that person is not a good fit for you, and then try someone else. So they have apps like BetterHelp and another one that I can't think of right now, but I've used BetterHelp before. Not that
Mhm.
this is like a plug for them. I don't know them like that, but I used that, and I'm glad that that resource is available because you don't have to physically go to an office to
Mhm.
see a therapist. You can do it virtually via just voice call or video call, and they have little bios about each therapist. And I think that there are many apps like that. Oh, Talkspace was the other one. And I'm sure there are other ones too. And there's like, if you are one of the concerns I had, and BetterHelp gave me an option to filter through, is I wanted to speak to a practical Christian therapist. Christian is a broad term, and I love loving Jesus, and I know so many people love Jesus, and we're all individuals, and so sometimes just because I love Jesus doesn't mean I think the same way that you do or think that my life should look the same way that you do. And so when I was thinking I want to talk out life issues with somebody, I wanted to make sure fundamentally that I was coming in with a trust that I felt I could give if I had a kind of idea that this person at least had the same foundational principle as I do.
Mhm.
Like, do you know that God is God? Do you know that Jesus is his son and our salvation? Like, do you know this? Even if you're not preaching at me when we talk, to me, it was just helpful to know that that person was coming from, not that you can't be helped, even if you're a believer, by somebody who's an unbeliever who is skilled in their field. You absolutely
Mhm.
can be. But that was just something that I wanted. So I looked for that, and I happened to connect with somebody who was phenomenal. And we had several great sessions, and I thought that that was really great. And at the end of that, we stopped, and then I went to a different therapist at another outlet. And there's even a Christian ministry called Promises Kept Ministry, and they have therapy as well. And you don't have to be a believer to be connected to them because they're not preaching at you. They're just licensed professionals who happen to be Christian therapists who will talk to you as you need them to and counsel you. So there are outlets, and it's okay if you first speak to somebody and you don't know if it's a good fit or not, because maybe you don't know until after that first meeting where you're like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted, or this is not quite it. And then you look, maybe you're even better able to refine your search
Mhm.
because you're like, this was great, but I did not like this. So next time I look, I'm looking for not this
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
more of that. Yeah.
that's good advice for searching for those professional connections and help and stuff like that. And what I heard was give yourself time.
Mm.
Give yourself time to find the person. Really consider who you're talking to, but don't be afraid to test the waters and
Mm-hmm.
see if it's a match. I guess you know what? It sounds a lot like just socializing in general. Yeah, just like meeting people in general. Not everyone is gonna be your fit, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it takes a little while before you find your tribe or find your crew or things like that. So it makes sense that when it comes to a therapist, it's the same concept. We're not all gonna match. I mean, even I feel like that's the thing with any relationship or interaction. You just have to give it time to know whether or not it's the right person
Yeah.
and if it fits your needs and what's going on. But something I picked up on is because you said you spoke to one person and it was good, and then over time it was time to move to another
Mm-hmm.
person. So I mean, we talked about it before, but I think it's something to remember that even your your therapist relationship can be seasonal. Um, it's
Thanks.
you're not always in the same space of life, and maybe someone was great for you during one space of life, but as you phased into the next space, their advice and their counsel didn't sit the same way with you for that next phase of life, and it's okay to find someone that does work for you. So
Mm-hmm.
I like that as well. I was gonna say, and then if it's not professional help you're looking for, if you're just looking for someone um to talk to, a friend to talk to, for me, I always say you have to be able to trust the person you're talking to. So I would say that would be your first step. Can you truly trust that person? Because when you're talking about just your life and what's going on in it, the last thing you want to do is trust someone with that sensitive information and have that betrayed. But
Right. Yeah.
also you have no control over what someone does.
Yeah.
So
Some
take
hope.
caution,
Yes.
but you may not be your confidant may not be your friend you just met over coffee, over
Mm-hmm.
time maybe, but it may not be right when you meet them. You might wind up doing more harm than good, but you can
Yeah.
build trust. So, um, another thing is sometimes it's the people you're around that's causing your mental distress. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a change of scenery, environment, and people is necessary to find your balance again. You
Yeah.
may be, I don't know, you may be around someone who complains a lot and you're feeling depressed because you're picking up that habit of complaining. And so instead of seeing what's going well, you just keep seeing the bad points in your life and it's just like pulling you down, pulling you down, pulling you
Mm-hmm.
down. I would suggest stepping away from that friendship for a little bit, so that you
Yeah.
can establish and find your joy again.
Yeah. And I mean, it could be helpful too. Sometimes people don't realize the pattern that they're stuck in. And depending on the relationship, you could say, hey, I love you. But I've
Mhm,
noticed that the past few times we've hung out, we've been rehashing this one thing or the whatever. Or like, if you don't want to say you've been complaining all the time, you could ask Google, what's a synonym for complaint? No, she about to answer. Oh, you can ask, what is this? Like, look it up. What's the synonym for complaining? And you just find the kindest, most loving way to say that. And then the paraphrase version of that, the past few times, I love you and I want to support you, but I have to start setting boundaries about how much I take in because I'm starting to feel heaviness based on this. I don't want you to feel like you can't talk to me, but we do have to find maybe an optimistic perspective or take a break from always doing this part. So maybe we can, however you want to balance that out, whether you're saying, I just want to bring to your attention, I feel like you're complaining a lot in the kindest, nicest, most loving way. And it's making me feel a little heavy. I don't
mhm,
want to push you, but I got to set a boundary. However, you want to set that boundary, sometimes just speaking up can make a difference because the friend will be like, oh, you're right. I love you. I don't want to stress you out. I've just been rehearsing it. Maybe that friend is like, you know what? I need to get a therapist myself. So I
mhm,
could do this part with them so that we can get back to supporting each other and just friendship kind of thing. So communication is key too, even with that trust part, because you
mhm,
can love somebody and they can love you back and they just didn't understand your expectation
mhm,
of uh, I don't know, privacy or like they didn't understand that they couldn't tell. Maybe you're a friendship group of four and they thought it's fine if these other two people know and you meant no, it's just between me and you, but you didn't express it. So
mhm,
being clear and setting boundaries can help because then you know for sure if someone trespassed or like pushed your boundary
mhm.
when they knew it or if it was an honest mistake or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that. Being clear, very clear when you're going into those things can definitely help balance things out. Because I tell people all the time, you got to tell me what can't be said.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I say things
But
after
you
you
ask.
say it, but if you don't tell me this is a confidential thing, especially if you just said it to me
Mm.
haphazardly, like while we were talking, you just threw it out there as if it was something that's just
Common knowledge.
common knowledge,
Mhm.
and you didn't tell me this was a thing that was just between us, and I'm talking and something relevant to what you said pops up, it'll come to my mind like, oh yeah,
Your
common
connection.
knowledge. Yes. Like, and I'll just throw it out there. And then now you're like, what? And I'm like, you didn't tell me. You made it seem like everyone knew. I didn't know. So, I'm a vault when I know it's something valuable that has to be placed in a vault.
Mhm.
If I don't know the value of what you said, it's stored in my head as just general information.
Mm.
So if
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're telling me, oh, I'm struggling with this, and then I find somebody else and they're talking, they're like, oh, I'm struggling with this, but you didn't tell me, like you said it as though like everybody knows I got this struggle and I'm over it. And then I find somebody, I'm like, oh, Jasmine was struggling with that the other day, and she, like, I was
Yeah.
in a effort to help. I just destroyed the trust in the relationship, not even realizing it. So I love that
Mm,
you plug that, like, make sure you're clear about what you need certain
yeah.
information
Yeah.
to be classified as. So yeah, that was awesome. I appreciated that. And as we were talking about it, I was like, you know what's funny?
Hmm.
It sounds like the things we talk about with all relationships, like the characteristics. You have to know what you want. You have to know what your boundary is. You have to clearly express yourself. No one's a mind reader.
Mhm.
I feel like all those things are just building blocks of relationships, whether it's intimate relationships, friendships, family relationships, your professional relationships. Those are just things that are building blocks of relationships. And I think
Yeah.
as a people, if we got better at doing those things when we're interacting with each other, we might have less um I lost my words, but like less moments of like strife and things like that, or um less moments of offense, less, betrayals, things like that, because you didn't internalize, you said what you expected. I was able to adjust, and it might make just people interactions easier. I feel like right now people interactions are getting harder. I mean, I know it was always hard for some people, but I feel like after isolation for so long, and then, we're in a tech world where people aren't really socialized in person as much anymore, that when they do, sometimes it's like a awkwardness. You can kind of see it on everybody. Before it was just a select few that struggled, but
We
now
all
it's
have
like you
to.
can kind of see it in like interactions. I've seen like friend groups that look like they were friends for a while, but like it's like a weird disconnect or something. It's like, yeah,
Adjustment.
yeah. So I'm like, maybe we need to get back to just the basics, I guess, is
Yeah.
what they would
I
call.
think you're right. I think that you're so right. And that we have to be back to graciousness with ourselves, at least a little bit comfortable with being uncomfortable, just like riding out the discomfort of making the connections, because sometimes there's stigma attached to like needing friendship, to needing community, to
Mhm.
needing someone to talk to. And people feel like they want to muscle up and be like, now I don't really need nobody. I'm gonna breathe through it. I'm gonna get through it because I've been getting through it, and I don't want to have to rely on somebody to like keep my business. My business stays my business because I keep it to myself. Okay, but if at a certain point you might need to just let some of that weight off, because mental health, I don't know the best way to say this, but like it's not confined to just our brains. Like our brain is not just a brain that doesn't affect any other part of our body. Like our brain is responsible for so much on the inside, and our emotional health, all of that has an effect throughout our whole body. It's not just like I feel down, or like it's not solely an emotional thing. It is a physical thing. It translates to physical things. So we can feel like, I don't know why I have this chronic back pain. Well, maybe metaphysically, you've been carrying the weight of all of your stress and trauma, and you haven't even been able to like lay down one bit of information because you're not willing to like take any of these tracks. And maybe if you were able to heal in this emotional area, you would experience some healing in that physical area. We don't, I like we there's so much we don't understand, I think, sometimes about how our emotional health connects to our physical health.
Mhm.
Yeah. And even like walking through the world, understanding that we're spirits who have emotions, we have a soul, we have a mind, we have emotions, and we live in this body, but they're not these separate things that don't reflect on each other. Like, just like the Bible's like, you have peace. That's a promise from God. Yeah, I have peace. But if I'm surrounded by unpeaceful things and my attention is there and my focus is there, then the peace I have is not necessarily going to be manifesting in every part of my body. My spirit's at peace, but can you feel that emotions? Body, can you feel that peace? Are you resting? Are you
Mhm.
sleeping? Do you get good sleep? Are you waking up in the middle of the night like something's wrong? like all kinds of things that we don't make the connection, but it's a lot.
Yeah,
And it helps if you don't have to do it alone. Um,
for sure.
yeah.
I was gonna say that was the first thing that came to mind just now when you were talking, when you were like, the muscle up, I got this, I keep it to myself, that's how I get through it. We were never created to be alone.
Mm,
And that's coming from someone like myself that can spend a lot of time alone and be perfectly fine with it. We weren't created to be alone. Literally, God
mm,
created man and was like, it's not good for man to be alone, and
right.
created one.
Direct
Like
quote.
direct. There was no question about it. There was no debate about it. He was like, it's not good. So why do we now think I can do this all by myself and just be alone and be okay?
Mm,
It was in the beginning stated it's not good for you to be alone. So that's probably why we find ourselves in so much chaos when we're left alone. Um,
mm,
you know, when people are struggling mentally and they kind of retreat into themselves, that's when things get worse. That's when it takes the turn for the ugly, right? Because they just keep
mhm,
internalizing everything and they just stay to themselves. And even when they do come around people, they don't show their true self. They keep their true self hidden, and they're drifting away slowly and slowly and slowly. And the bigger that gap feels for them of alone, I'm the only one, to, in my opinion, the more dangerous it
mm,
gets, with how their mental health is affecting everything for them. So if you see somebody who seems to be withdrawn or trying to escape, maybe show a little more love, support, try to get them connected to a source of help because they may not realize that they're doing it themselves.
yeah.
Uh, would be my plug.
Amen. And then I will add to that the balance of and check in on your strong friends too,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes they're struggling, but they're doing for others and they're like, I'll put myself on the back burner and it's slowly building up. And yeah,
It comes to a head at some point.
come
Everything
to
comes to a head
yeah.
at some point. So yeah, I guess what we're saying is community is important and we all have
Mhm.
to we all
Yeah.
have to find our tribe, find our people, stay connected and get through things together.
Mhm.
There's always going to be more strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was a great talk, Jazz. I really
It sure
appreciate it.
was. And this is such a big topic. We could literally spend all the time, all the time. So maybe we'll do some in the future, even though this is the month celebrating it. Maybe we could rehash or get into some other parts of it.
Mm-hmm. The
Yeah.
meatier pieces, the
Mhm.
the more specific conversations. Ooh, I'm proud of myself. I got that word out.
Come on.
Doesn't always work for me, but we did it today. But yeah, and you know, Glean Social, we are hosting events. We are building a community.
Shona.
We do have an event coming up. So, details to follow. Stay connected, stay plugged in. But if you're looking for a tribe, test us out, see how you like it.
I'm saying, yeah. You can follow us on the socials.
Yeah,
We're learning how to do this, guys. So we want to interact and we want to get back to you. We're a little better at IG and and we're on TikTok. We out here on
officially,
TikTok
yes.
and
Officially on TikTok.
we're learning how to respond to you on TikTok too. So be patient with us.
Yes.
We love y'all and appreciate you.
Yes. So yeah, you guys have a great one.
Yeah. Bye, the people.